What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be just quickly discussing the very real possibility of an anti-cheat coming to Battlefield 2042, judging by some of the information that I learned at the early reveal event that I honestly forgot about until pretty recently when this sort of topic started coming up on Twitter and stuff like that. Obviously, the whole anti-cheat topic has been a pretty big talking point as of late for multiple different reasons. The possibility of crossplay obviously means we're going to want an anti-cheat for all console peasants like myself. Warzone and Apex have both been overtaken by hackers in the last year or so, which has obviously made it even more of a talking point in the gaming community in general. And then just the fact that all of the most recent Battlefield titles have had hacking issues on PC as well, it definitely has risen to the top of the priority list for any AAA shooters out there because of how rampant it has become. Now anyway, in the early reveal event for Battlefield 2042, we had about an hour at the end to do a Q&A with some of the developers, and this topic did actually come up with someone asking whether there were any plans for an anti-cheat system in the upcoming title. Now Daniel Berlin, who is the senior design director on Battlefield, went on to mention that the safety and integrity of their game is obviously very important to them, and they want to create a place for players to be able to enjoy their game free of harassment and free of cheating. And I think the overall approach that they have for this game has shown that to be true. They seem to be really trying to just have something for everyone in terms of allowing bots and offline modes and stuff like that. It seems like they definitely want to sort of make their franchise a little bit more approachable and a bit more friendly for newer players, because they no doubt know that a lot of new players will be coming to the game with Battlefield 2042. He then went on to say that they have actually entered a new program at EA specifically for Battlefield 2042, but those were the only details he was allowed to say, so it was super vague. But that answer in response to the anti-cheat question definitely hints that they are planning on adding some sort of anti-cheat to the game, and it honestly seems like it might be an external thing, which could be what he meant when he said entering a new program. A lot of anti-cheats out there, if not the large majority of them honestly, are made by other companies or teams who specialize in anti-cheat software. So for example, a completely different company or studio could come together with DICE and essentially collaborate on implementing an anti-cheat system into the game, or this new program could even just be like a small division of the developers at DICE that have been moved to a new team within the studio who are solely working on an anti-cheat. It could mean literally anything at this point because we just don't have enough information, but from what he said, it absolutely does sound like they are planning on doing something about the cheating issues overall. The fact that he said this was specifically for this game as well is also a really good sign, because that shows it will be different from anything else that they've ever done to try and combat cheating in the past. Obviously, it's not the same studios making these games, but games like Apex, for example, which is still under the EA umbrella, have been absolutely overrun by hackers from what I've heard. So the fact that this seems to be something new is definitely a good thing, because if it was something they had used before, it clearly isn't good enough, since like I said, Battlefield 5 and Battlefield 1 have both had their fair share of issues when it comes to hacking. Now, despite all of this, even if they do implement an anti-cheat, then that doesn't necessarily even guarantee that there won't be hackers. People will always somehow figure their way around it, and taking a look at some other games that do have anti-cheat systems, it doesn't work 100% of the time. For those of you guys who don't know, my YouTube background actually comes from Star Wars Battlefront 2, as I have a channel focused on that game as well, where I actually started on YouTube, and that game did actually have an anti-cheat built into it, I believe from the start of the game, known as the Fair Fight anti-cheat system, and I believe this was possibly the same system that was actually used in Battlefield 5. Now, roughly 90% of the player base was on console for that game, so hacking was never really talked about all that much, simply because I would say the majority of the content creators were on console, and so most people just weren't really talking about it, and it wasn't like the PC lobbies were just overrun completely or something like that, but there were hackers in the game for sure, despite that anti-cheat system. Now, I actually know a few guys from that community who used to use mods, all of which were only cosmetic changes and they were allowed to be used in multiplayer, yet the anti-cheat actually picked them up and ended up banning those guys for using mods, which caused a pretty big uproar at one point because they got banned for something completely harmless, yet there were guys legitimately hacking who would use the fastest weapons in the game and just make them like a one-shot kill so they could kill an entire team in a matter of seconds at any range. And yeah, the anti-cheat was definitely just not 100% accurate, despite the fact that it was in the game from launch, and unfortunately it actually never got fixed on PC. So like I said, even if they do implement an anti-cheat, while it likely will be successful, there's a chance it will still allow a few to slip through the cracks, and that's why I hope they really do go in on this hacking problem and try their best to not only have the automatic systems, but also to really focus on manual reviews as well, meaning we can report people who are hacking and then the team can manually ban those players regularly. Now, the other thing that needs to happen is that they can't just make it completely free and easy to make a new account. In Warzone, for example, if you get banned for hacking, you can literally just make a brand new account for free and be hacking again 5 minutes later, which is why it is such a common issue in that game. I think Raven have banned about 5 500,000 accounts at this point, and yet probably all of those players just made brand new accounts and did it again straight away. So not only does there need to be a system to ban the hackers automatically, but they need to make these bans permanent, or at least just make it super hard to make a new account. For example, you have to buy a whole new copy of the game or something, at which point people will surely get tired of having to spend $70 every time. And hell, if they want to keep wasting their money doing that shit, then just take their money every day and let them keep spending their money until mummy stops giving them an allowance. Personally, and this is especially the case if crossplay is enabled, I think the hacking issues need to be fixed in this game, not only for Battlefield but just for gaming in general. Someone needs to find a way to fix this permanently, and if DICE can be the ones to permanently fix cheating in their game, then other games will hopefully follow suit, and this could go down as one of the games that changed the way the anti-cheat systems work in gaming. If us console players have to deal with the hackers on PC, if there is in fact crossplay, then that's just going to ruin the fun for literally millions more players than ever before in the franchise. And if DICE wants this franchise to turn around and get back to the crazy fun that it used to be, they must prepare for hackers, and they must have a way to deal with it as well. From what Daniel Berlin said at the early reveal event, it definitely does seem as though they are planning on it though, and so I am pretty interested to see how it all pans out and whether or not it's a success, as well as just the question of whether or not crossplay will even be in the game, because if it's not, then obviously that does suck, but at the very least the hacking issue wouldn't be a problem for console players, so I guess that would be a silver lining. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave a like down below, and if you guys are new, then consider subscribing to the channel with those notifications on. Thank you all very much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I will see you all out there on the battlefield.